Why, hello, good people. It has been forever. Bard here, obviously. It's been probably like at least 2 years since my last YouTube video, but I want to start up again with something that I've actually been finding really fun. I've been watching a lot of PUBG Esports. I've been playing a lot of PUBG, learning it. So I want to make a quick video of just introducing PUBG Esports to all of you. So first off, let's look at the schedule that they've already given us. Here is the 2022 PUBG Esports roadmap. They show PCS 6, PNC 2022, they show PCS 7, and then PGC 2022. So there are 4 events: PCS 6 and 7, PNC, which stands for PUBG Nations Cup, and then PGC, which stands for PUBG Global Cup. PCS is PUBG Continental Series. And then they actually have 2 events that they don't mention here. That is ESL Masters 1 and 2. But again, I'm going to get into that a little bit, but I wanted to give you guys a roadmap just kind of how things were going to look. And I wanted to dive into kind of why PUBG Esports, why do they do this, and what are we looking at in terms of what's important to look at. So let me start with the major PUBG event of the entire year, PGC 2022. This is the penultimate PUBG event of the year. Everything, except for PNC, which I will explain later, leads up to PGC. It is a point-based system off of who enters into PGC. Throughout the years, as teams and players compete for events, those events reward points depending on how well you did. And the closer we get to PGC, the higher the points given. Here's a quick look of PCS 6, ESL 1 and 2, and the PGC points each team received. I'm not going to stay on here too long. If you want to take a look at these, just pause the video, but I'm going to move right on. Now, I showed all of the 4 events except for PCS 7. That's because PCS 7 has not happened yet. PCS 7 will be played from September 16th through the 25th. Now, one really important thing to know about PCS 7 is that it is so much more important than the previous ones. That is because the winner of PCS 7 is guaranteed a spot in PGC. That means a team could emerge randomly, and even if they had not played in previous tournaments, they will instantly make it into PGC. Now, this format generally rewards teams with consistency with points, but this also allows for some variety with players or teams being able to make it even if they just have one good run, which makes it super fun and exciting as a spectator to watch. That is the point system PUBG employs globally. So now I want to focus in just a little bit and focus on NA and Latin America a little bit more specifically. I'm going to go a little bit more into NA PUBG as I know more about it, as I don't really watch the Latam, mostly because I just don't have the time. So I do apologize not to give them any disrespect. It's just what I'm not able to do. So first off is qualifiers. Every event so far, I believe, has had open qualifiers. That means anyone can sign up, and essentially you'll go into a bracket, and the top 8 teams will make it further, and that goes in until we have about 24 teams. So at that point, you have the plain qualifiers. So it's the top 6 from North America, and then the top 4 from Latam that automatically make it into whatever final of the event that we're in. The 16 teams right underneath those 10 that I just mentioned battle it out in a last chance qualifier for 4 spots into the finals. If anyone was curious, just for a reference, the past 3 major events, NA has had 10, 10, and 9 into the last chance qualifiers, and Latam has had 6, 6, and 7. So usually it's a little bit NA dominant, but with the last one and just kind of how we've seen things play out, that may change. So now again, with the point system all gearing towards PGC at the end of the year, it is important to note that the top 6 teams in PGC points from Latam and NA combined make it in PGC. So it's one table, NA and Latam. One more thing is that there's always a spot for a Latin America team. So even if the top 6 are all NA teams, the highest ranked Latam team still makes it into PGC. They could be ranked 10th, but if they're the top Latin America team, they make it in. That was long-winded and maybe a little bit confusing, but hopefully it just gives you the information so you can take it and process it. So now that I've shown you how PGC works and how ESL and PCS work into it, I want to mention the last event on the schedule, PNC. This is PUBG's version of a World Cup. All the nations take their top 4, determined by a lot of different things, player of a tournament or something. They also have a voting system. I'm not quite sure how it works out, I'll be honest. Compete for global glory. Since they aren't competing as teams, so, there's no Sonics, there's no Fiumba, there's nothing like that. It's all just pure nations. They're looking for the pure cash prize and then just the glory of being the best team in the world. You may be thinking, cool, Bart, but what teams should I look out for? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to run through the long-running teams of NA, so the long-term staples, a couple of Latam teams that I've seen throughout the series, and then ones to watch recently, in my opinion. There will be some that you know their rosters under a different name. As you may know, Oath and Zenith are not a thing, so I'm going to give you a rundown of, who went where, just to give you an idea of, again, what the teams are currently. But I'll try to let you know who they were previously. So obviously, I have to talk about Sonics first. The roster consists of Tiggleton, Mime, H-Win, and Shrimzy. Tiggleton and Shrimzy are usually considered their fraggers and frontmen. H-Win is considered their IGL. The IGL is the one who makes the calls, calling rotations, calling where to go, and who to push. Mime is more of a support player, but he's had his fair share of clip-worthy moments. They won PGC 2020 fantastically and consistently get top 3 in each event. There's a lot of personality on this team, some drama that they like to cause, but they have the absolute skill to back it up, so don't mess around with them. EUNITE is the next team that I want to talk to you about. With 2 from the previous Oath roster, and Relo and Snakers, you also have Kickstart from Zenith and Flood from the Australian team Fury. This team is incredibly solid. They won ESL 1 and 2, and they consistently pepper their opponents come endgame and create opportunities where no one thought there could be any. They are an insane team and should be feared, from having a full team to having just one player up. They can be snakes in the grass or they can frag out. They are very versatile and they do it very well. Next is Yoho. Formerly SSG is another team that some may get confused by because they also have a former Oath player and Balefrost. He's joined by the Brazilian superstar Sparking, as well as former Zenith/SSG players Shinboy and Punage. Now another one, Luminosity Gaming. You may not have heard of that, but you certainly know the players if you've been around. Their previous name was STK. Despite an incredibly underwhelming performance in ESL 2, which I'll get to in another video, Alo, Purdy, Luke 12, and Pentalol are capable of competing at the highest level and have won major tournaments and usually place well. But we'll see if that continues. I hate to make the pun, but the next team, Wildcard Gaming, is honestly a wildcard team. Previously, Guadalajara Gas Cans, they are actually really big underdogs. A lot of people prefer the teams that I mentioned above, the top 4, but this team play incredibly well. They frag amazingly. I recall in a previous tournament, Nikos hitting an insane 1v3 drive-by in a pro scene. The ability to do that is insane, and you should never underestimate him or Adam, who I believe are their top 2 players. Now moving on to Bing Bang Boom. This is my personal favorite with Wooly as their coach. I've been rooting for this team for about 2 years, I think. Recently, things have been a little bit shaky, but regardless, they do have the skill, talent, and callouts to compete, but I think they do need to change some things behind the scene. Those are the main teams to know NA. If you want a couple more names, just so that you're familiar with them, Dodge and Rumblers have also been good staples of NA, so do keep an eye out for them. One team from specifically ESL 2 that I do want to mention is a new team, Tokyo Manja Gang. They shone in the ESL 2 qualifiers, and 2 of these players really stood out in my eyes. You have Wadaz and Hello I'm Bad. They consistently fragged out with good peaks, amazing gunplay and mechanics, and they were top 4 in the qualifiers. Now, their good run didn't extend to the finals, but in my opinion, Wadaz and Hello My Bad are players that will shine and teams should keep eyes on. There were multiple times where they would crash a compound or even just crash during rotations, and they would 1v3, 1v4, 1v2, and it was beautiful to watch. And again, I think they do have the mechanics to become big names in NA PUBG. Next is the Latam teams. Again, don't know too much about them, haven't been able to watch their qualifiers, but there have been some that have been reoccurring names that I want you guys to look out for. So you have 22 Esports, you have Young Kings, Fiyumba, Synergy, and Trogloditas. Those are the names that I see the most often. And again, no disrespect to them. They have absolutely fantastic teams. I just don't know that much about them. So again, Latam, you guys are great. I apologize. I just don't know more about you guys. So there it is. That is my rundown of PUBG Esports. Next video, I hope to get uploaded in a couple days, I'll be honest, is a quick recap of ESL 2. After that, hopefully a pre-PCS 7, discussing transfers, discussing who's playing well, who isn't, any sicknesses or anything, and maybe teams to look out from qualifiers like Tokyo Manja Gang. And then after that, I'm going to do another recap video, and I hope to continue this trend, but we'll see. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you next time.